Yeah, all good. All good. Morning. Just going for a nice, peaceful walk this morning. And I was a little reflecting on my walk this morning. A lesson I learned years ago, many, many years ago. I learned a lesson around standing the ground in football, so to speak. Developing the strength to stand your ground in football. And I learned this lesson because I was just playing street football, park football with my mates and that sort of stuff in my late teens, and enjoying playing the game was through a different sort of through playing street football. People encouraged me to go and play and trial for different teams, and I would end up playing state league football, or the old state league as it was called back then, and then I ended up doing martial arts, Wing Chun, but also did Thai boxing at the Mundine Gym in Redfern. And me and my mate Jason would go down to Redfern and do Thai boxing there at the Mundine Gym over in Everleigh Street, where it was back then. And another great trainer, really, really great trainer, one of the best in the business, if not the best in the world for Thai boxing. He was really highly respected in the field of Thai boxing. He was from Thailand, and I think he ended up going back to live in Thailand, but that's another story from today. But one thing I learned in that environment is about standing your ground. And look, I'm not here to give advice or make suggestions here. I'm just giving you my take on the situation. I'm not here to give advice or give any suggestions or whatever, just my take on it. Because in football, pressure can come from coaches, teammates, supporters. Even your own doubts can get put pressure on yourself, and so on and so forth. And I think for me, it's really important that if you always back down in football, then you lose sight of who you are in the game. So, for example, like in my experience when I went for sort of trials in football, it was quite an interesting situation where you go for trials in football, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where players trying to blame you for mistakes, or you got these little cliques in the game, and you get these players that end up they don't pass you the ball. I'm not saying that's always the experience that happens, but I'm saying it can happen in the game. An example might be you're playing in a game, and one of your teammates, says, for example, you can see the goal of a set piece as you were the one that wasn't marking up, when it's clearly evident you were the one that was marking up. You were marking your player. But they might say you're at fault for a certain situation, and not in the blame game here. It's about teamwork and so on and so forth, but also it's about standing up for yourself and saying, well, actually, you know what, in a calm way, that you don't agree with that situation, staying calm and explain your situation. It's about explaining your take on the situation as well, rather than, look, I'm all for accepting responsibility, but rather than accepting responsibility just to avoid confrontation, was clearly evident you weren't at fault for the error, so to speak. And that's what I'm saying when I say standing up for yourself in the game. And look, this can apply to life situations too, but I think metaphorically for me, it's like being a tree strong in the wind, where you're flexible enough to adjust, but you've got strong enough roots to not be moved, so to speak. But that's my take on it. You might see it differently. Everyone's got different sort of perspectives. That's sort of my take on it. Always great to hear different people's thoughts and feedback.